Shaquana, you watching State of the Union tonight? Yeah, girl, I'm tuning in. Girl, why? Like, it's not like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris even did anything for the black community. Who even told you that? Well, the Shade Room said it. The Breakfast Club said it. Charlamagne said it. Even Amanda Seales said it, and she be knowing.
So this is that type of shit that I hear on a daily, and you know if people rinse and repeat it, people will believe it. But because the Shade Room and Charlamagne so stuck on stupid, I have no other choice but to do it. I'm going to tell you everything that the Biden-Harris administration has done for the black community since taking office. So day one, numero uno, when Joe Biden was first appointed to office, he signed an executive order in advancing racial equities for undeserved communities through the federal government. Well, what the hell did that do? Well, let me tell you. First of all, it provides an increased federal grant funding for criminal justice reform, prohibits certain unjust law enforcement practices, updates federal prosecutory guidelines, and then it also invests in community violence and prevention programs. And since we're on the subject of criminal justice reform, when the Senate failed to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which was killed thanks to Senator of South Carolina Tim Scott, who refused to work with Democrats to end qualified immunity, Joe Biden called on the Department of Justice to ban chokeholds that killed George Floyd and no-knock warrants, the same ones that killed Breonna Taylor. Also, under the Biden-Harris administration, Merrick Garland will be seeking federal charges on the two officers that are involved in Breonna Taylor's death. So to jail you go, ho. Lastly, on criminal justice, Joe Biden signed a pardon for everybody prosecuted on a federal level for simple marijuana possession. So much for Crime Bill Biden. Since everybody keeps talking about this anti-Asian crime bill that doesn't exist because it's called the COVID hate crime bill, let's talk about a bill that actually does exist. The Emmett Till anti-lynching bill was signed into law after 200 failed attempts by Joe Biden. And since all y'all care about is the money, honey, let's talk about how much money Biden has given to the black community. The first bill signed into law by Biden was the American Rescue Plan, which provided $1,400 stimulus. Not only that, a child tax credit, which lifted 50% of black children out of poverty, which wouldn't have gotten passed without Vice President Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. But she don't do nothing. Since Biden-Harris took office, Harris, capital on the Harris, because y'all gonna stop mistreating my damn girl. Biden even said himself that Kamala Harris is the first person in the room, last person to motherfucking leave. Every damn thing that comes out this administration, she's got her hands all over it. They've been able to create 11.6 million new jobs versus Trump losing 2.5 million jobs. They've been able to decrease black unemployment from 9.4% to 5.4%. Not only that, they've been able to give over $5.9 billion to HBCUs compared to Donald Trump only giving us $250 million. Thanks to Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and her tie-breaking vote in the Senate, she was able to pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which caps the cost of insulin, knowing that diabetes disproportionately hurts the black community. And since we're talking about saving money, Joe Biden has already canceled $25 billion worth of student loan debt thanks to laws that already exist under the Department of Education. And $5.8 billion of that money that was canceled was thanks to Kamala Harris's early work as Attorney General when she sued Everest and Corinthians College for their predatory behavior targeting African Americans who were seeking a higher education. Now, mind you, this doesn't include Joe Biden's plan to cancel $10,000 worth of student loan debt for those making less than $125,000 a year. And remember this, if you're a Pell Grant recipient, you get $20,000. Did you know that 60% of African Americans qualify for Pell Grants? So guess who's going to benefit the most from this plan? And I already know what you're thinking. Well, didn't he get blocked by the courts? Well, the Supreme Court will be having a hearing on February 28th, 2023 on the case. But the problem is Republicans are going to have a hard time battling this case because they have to prove that they have standing. Just to sum it up, standing is you have to prove that a certain law or action has negatively impacted someone. The problem is we've had a student loan federal pause for 3 years. 3 years. And if they pass this, somehow this law or this action is supposed to negatively impact them. Child, bye. And guess what? I'm not even done yet. Like and share if you want a part two.